this video, we are going to go ahead and review the Notability app. Notability is a wonderful tool to take notes in. It combines a lot of different mediums, photo, speech, type, writing, shapes, drawing, etc., all into one program, and really allows you to capture a lot of creativity in note-taking. And while doing that, it's also a great program for organizing notes, and we'll go over some of that as well. So we're going to review how to find it in the App Store, and then just go through all the nuances of Notability and try to explain it in as much detail in as short amount of time as possible. So first things first, go to your App Store and go in here into your search bar, type in Notability and search for it. It's going to be the first thing that pops up on your top left hand side, and go ahead and download that. I'm sure there's a cost to it. Honestly, I can't remember it at this point. But if it's something you need to clear, make sure you go ahead and clear that with your manager first. It is a quote-unquote Stryker approved app, meaning that it's one you can find in the Stryker My Apps or My Stryker App Store. So once you've downloaded this puppy, go ahead and find where it downloaded to, and let's go ahead and click into it by tapping on it. Alright, now that we're into Notability, the first thing I want you to kind of recognize is we basically have two different panes here. We have a left-hand side and then a right-hand side. And the left-hand side is basically kind of like your file folder system or categories of notes. You can see I have two. One's called Stryker Notes. I have 11 different notes within that. And then the other one is called Sales Information. I only have one note in that category. So the right-hand side is what contains all of the different notes in each category. So if I click on the Stryker Notes category, for example, you can see all the different notes I have within that folder or category. Likewise with sales information, you can see it signifies I only have one note in there, and on the right hand side there's only one note listed. So left hand side is kind of like a folder / category pane, and the right hand side is actually your note pane. It shows you all the specific notes that you have within that folder. So the first thing that I really want you guys to take a look at in Notability once you get in here is this down the right hand bottom portion of the screen. There's a gear icon. If you touch that, that's going to bring you into the settings of Notability, and there's a few things we need to look at here. The first one is our themes. And this is just preference here, guys. You can change your preference around, and Notability will change to kind of fit your style as far as a theme. And I like it here at the clean theme, so we're going to save it or keep it there, and we'll go back to settings. And the next one is the default paper. Now this is what your note will default with every time you create a new note, and I have mine over here second from the top left. Basically that I've created as my default. You can also default with lines or grid if you like. I like mine plain, so we'll keep it there. And then the last thing, but most important thing to notice in the settings is cloud services. And then when I click in there, you can see that I am currently logged in to Dropbox, which basically means I'm linked to all of my Dropbox files within Notability. So you are probably logged out currently if you've never got into Notability before. So we'll log out really quick and then just touch it to log in. And Notability is going to take you direct to Dropbox, which is going to basically ask Dropbox for access to all the files and folders within Dropbox. So we'll allow that, which is going to kick us back into Notability, and you can now see that I'm logged into Dropbox and have access to all those files that I've housed in my Dropbox folder. So if you have a Google Drive or a Box Drive, etc., you can log in. It's the same thing. It's just a cloud-based service. So now that we're done with that, we're just going to hit this done button and we're going to dive right in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new category for today's video, and you do that by hitting this plus button at the top left hand side of the screen. And to do that, we'll call that test, or we'll call it video series test. Video series test, and we'll hit the enter key, and as you can see, we've just created a new category to put notes into. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and create a new note, and you do that simply by just tapping the create new note button right here. As you can see, it turns orange and it creates a new note. Now Notability will automatically put the date up here in the top left. It says note, July 25th, 2013, and you can see on the right hand side it says video series test, so it lists the category that this note is in along with the date and time. So on the left hand side, it's important to notice though that this date is there, because if you don't change that, Notability is automatically going to save this note by this date and organize by this date. So we'll just enter some quick text in here. And we'll hit the back button, and as you can see, we created that new note, and it's basically categorized by the date. So if we go back up here to the Stryker Notes category, you can see that I've changed that. Instead of dates, I have mine listed by account. That's how I organize all of my notes. I have them just one note for account, and I keep it updated that way. But if you prefer to have it notes organized by date, that's the default with Notability, and that's how it is shown here. If we want to change that, we can just click back into this note by tapping it, go back up here, and we can change this, and we'll call this video series note, and hit enter. And when we hit the back button again, you can see that Notability has changed the name of that note. Instead of listing it as a date now, it's now listed as the name I just changed it to. So just depending on how you want to organize your files, it's up to you. It's personal preference. So now getting into kind of the nuts and bolts of this program, let's click back into this note. And let's start running through some of the really wonderful details and uses for this program. So where we're going to start is in the middle, in the very top of the screen. You'll see 5 different tools. You'll see kind of a T, which is for your typing tool. You'll see a pencil for your writing tool. There's a highlighter tool, an eraser tool, and a cut tool, excuse me, which is like a pair of scissors. So to enter type, you're going to hit that type tool, and you can click anywhere on the screen you want, and you can edit type. Alright, pretty straightforward. Works just like any word processor. It's very easy to get around and very easy to use. Touch the pencil tool, and any of these tools that have options, if you just tap it again, the options will appear. You can select color, you can select size, etc. And we'll just use this, and we'll say Stryker here for you. Alright, and then the highlighter tool is just that. It's a highlighter tool. We can highlight anything we want if it's important. And then following that is the eraser tool, which is great, guys. This is actually a smart eraser, which means it will erase everything but type. So we can erase this this highlight, but you see the text still stays, and we can erase here real quick, and you can see that erases very quickly. So the very next button is going to be a cut button. So we'll just draw a little something here, hit that cut button, and we can select around what we want to cut and paste. And if you just tap in the middle of that selection tool, you can do all sorts of things. Let's cut, let's tap on the screen again and paste, or we can copy, tap on the screen and paste, etc., etc. So pretty powerful, pretty cool. Those are going to be your main and basic tools. Really, the pencil tool has different options, and so does the highlight tool, guys. So a lot of different cool options to play with and to get used to and to use. So when you're in the pencil, really it's most effective in the pencil tool. You can call it a drawing tool, whatever you want to call it. But down at the bottom right hand portion of the screen, you see 2 more icons. You see a little magnifying glass, and you see a hand. So if we hit that hand button, you see that kind of a little spacer pops up. What this spacer is, and you can touch and hold these 3 little bars and drag this up like so. What that means is that allows a place for your hand to go on while you're writing on your iPad. So if you put your hand on there, it's not going to mistakenly write on that section for you. So it's pretty cool. You just touch it and drag it back down like that. And then the next option right over to the left side is that magnifying glass, this is a really awesome option, it kind of brings up a magnified screen for you, as you can see. So to notice when this bar pops up, you see a left arrow, a right arrow, and kind of like an enter key. If you hit the enter key, that magnified glass will go down. If you hit the right key, that magnified screen will go right. Left, it'll go left. You could also touch and hold down at this bottom right hand corner, and you can expand the screen, or you can touch in the middle of the magnified section and you can move it wherever you want. But the cool part about this, guys, is if you magnify the screen, you can write down here and it's a little more precise, because you can write bigger, but in essence you're not. So hit enter and it's going to go down a space. So just some cool options to think about, and very cool to use. So we're going to get into some more advanced options at this point. Those are your main basic typing and kind of drawing / writing, highlighting, erasing tools. Alright, the next thing we're going to get into is a very cool, I think, part of this program. It's kind of a voice recorder. You can add a voice note. If you go over a little bit to the right, you see the microphone. If you touch on it, you can see that a counter appears, which basically means that you're actually recording your voice into this note. So you're creating a voice note, to do or to add it to the rest of your note for any reason you want. And then we'll stop it. And if we hit this little play button next to it, our video note starts to play back for us. Alright, so we'll pause that. And then if we want to add an additional note, we'll hit that button again, the little microphone button, and you can see our ticker starts to count back up. So we're adding another voice note, and I'll show you where to find that. We'll hit stop, then we'll hit play again. And if you go over here to this little tape recorder icon, you can see there's 2 recordings. It shows you the length and when they were created. So you have a lot of flexibility, you have a lot of options, but it's really cool that you can add a voice note to a note with any other media on it. So continuing to move over to the right, you'll see this plus button, and let's tap that. And here's where you're going to add media into your note. So for this, the purpose of this example, we'll choose a photo from our camera roll, and let's choose a Power Pro. We'll choose this picture I sent to quality, and you can drag that puppy over here. And once you kind of have your picture set where you want, just tap off of it and your picture is set. So I'm going to change this pencil to red. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to draw an arrow where the problem was. So pretty cool. You can add all sorts of things. If you want to edit this picture, you just tap back on it, and you can add a caption. Tap back off, and there you go. And we can also scale it using any of these paddles. Okay. And you can edit it here. There's just some small options. You can copy, paste, etc. So going back to the media section, if you want to take a picture direct while you're in Notability without having to go to your camera, there you go. You just hit take a picture, grab the picture you want, hit use, and Notability will drop it into your note. Same thing, as soon as you're done placing your photo, you just tap off the screen and that picture will be set in place. Some more things you can do: web clicks. You can do figures if you need them, which is just you kind of create any figure you need, or you can draw. Maybe you want to draw a diagram or something. You draw it, hit done. Notability is going to bring that in, basically, and it did right here, as you can see. So that's the media section. We'll do a sticky so you guys can see it. We'll do a typing sticky, and we don't want it that big, so we're going to drag it and we're going to move over here. And since it's a typing sticky, it automatically brings up the cursor. And we'll enter, and we have a poorly spelled typing sticky. Right here, guys, on the next one, the next icon over, it's kind of like your, it's like a utility, I guess, screen. You can select paper here. You can change it, so we can add lines if we want to. We can add a grid, as you can see. So some cool options there. Okay. The next button over is kind of looks like 3 pages. If you click that, basically, it's just how many pages are in a note. So if you had more than 1 page, it would show here, and you could quickly navigate in between those notes. All right, before we go too much farther, one thing to notice, towards the left-hand side of the screen, you see a left arrow back. That is your undo key. So if we hit this undo key, we can see where we're undoing what we had previously done, which comes very much in use. It becomes very useful if you make a mistake. So that's a very cool option. All right, now for the really cool stuff. So as you can see, you can pretty much enter all sorts of media into Notability. Pictures, you can draw a picture, you can draw a diagram, you can type, you can add a voice note. Very cool stuff, very handy. I've shown you how to organize it. Now it's time to learn to how to export this file. So just as in all the rest of my videos, I've shown you the export button. Basically, we're going to hit this right arrow coming out, which is our export button. And 3 options I want you guys to look at. Obviously, you have like Google Drive and Box options, which we're not going over, but if you have them, they're available to you. The first one we're going to look at is email. All right, this is the format of the email we want to send. So what this means is going to change our note into a PDF. You can change it into an RTF, or you can also save it as a note if somebody else has Notability as well. So we're going to keep it as PDF, and we're going to go ahead and email ourselves this note. David-Trombley, and I'm going to send that off. So I've just emailed myself a PDF copy of the note I had. So let's say I, again have a, like this Power Pro dongle that had a cut in it, and I wanted to send this off to quality with specific notes. I could do that by just entering the person's name I wanted to and sending it as a PDF. The next option in export, is Dropbox. So if I want to send this file to Dropbox, I'm going to select the destination folder, and we'll pick Stryker. And we'll export the file to Stryker, and we'll send it to Dropbox. So this file, I now just saved it in my Dropbox file folder. That's why in the beginning, during the settings setup, we linked Dropbox to Notability. All right, the last and final thing I want to show you is also very cool. If you want to print a note, just hit this bottom option, which is open in another app, and hit the open note in button, and then choose Open in Printer Pro, which is an app we reviewed in another video. And as you can see, Printer Pro opens immediately and brings the note in for printing capability. So very cool. What I want you guys to kind of to get at this point watching some of the videos is basically all these apps are working together. Notability, Dropbox, Printer Pro, so you can get in, you can edit documents, we can print anything from anywhere. We can get in Notability, we can get information from Dropbox and change it and edit it. It's very cool stuff. So we'll go here to our mail really quick, and we'll take a look at this note that we just sent ourselves, and there we go. There's the note in PDF format, basically, that we just sent ourselves. So very cool stuff. Getting back into Notability, just a few more things to go over. We'll hit the back button, and you can also export right from here. There's an export button, and you can select the note to export. You hit it again, and you have the same destination functionality as if you were in the note itself. So we'll cancel out. You can also delete, if you swipe from left to right, categories, which we'll tap off. You can delete notes from left to right as well. We'll delete that. And we'll delete this section because we don't want it. Delete it. Also, we can organize our categories. If you hit your edit button, you see these 3 bars pop up on the category selections. If you just touch and hold, you can organize your categories in any way that you want to. So that's about it with Notability. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at david.trombley@stryker.com or call me on your cell phone. Thanks for watching.